Disclaimer. The hosts of this podcast, Timothy Patrick and Will Foley, are by no means professionals. However, having lived experience with mental illness themselves, they have gained useful perspectives on common mental health issues that some of us struggle to overcome on a daily basis. By sharing their stories, they hope to create connection. By creating connection, they hope to help you find your purpose. And through purpose, we can all begin to build the foundations for positive mental health. This is the Above Ground Podcast.
Are you ready to lace up your boots, throw up your horns, and jump into the pit? Then let's stomp the stigmas of mental illness. It's time for Above Ground Podcast. Now, Will Foley and Timothy Patrick.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to Above Ground Podcast. Above Ground Podcast, because you can't serve below. I hope you're all well this week. I wanted to tell you about a very special event going on this Sunday here in the 518. However, you can donate anywhere in the world, anywhere in the country. Our friend Jacques Equier, who is the CEO of 4S for Life and was a guest of ours on July 22nd back on the episode Strength in the Struggle, is doing a very special walk this weekend to benefit not only the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention Capital Region, but to bring awareness to veteran suicide. He is taking part solo, unless you want to come join him, in the 22 for 22. And this is a walk that he is doing to represent the 22 military personnel we lose each and every day to suicide. He is going to start in Hoosick Falls, New York, and end in Saratoga at Congress Park. And he is asking for the amount of $17.23 to represent the 1,723 New Yorkers lost to suicide last year. And you could also donate per mile. I'm going to post everything in the show notes, so you'll be able to go right to his page and direct your money right there. All the money will stay here in the capital region because what we raise here stays here. It allows us to bring the programming that we bring to you through American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. It lets us provide Talk Saves Lives, More Than Sad, and all the other programs. And it also helps us do all the research. And it also helps us get out just the word, because sometimes just having the conversation and starting the conversation is enough. And that's why we keep doing this every week. And we're very fortunate that we keep getting responses from all over the globe that we are doing what we're doing, and they love it. People love it, and they keep connecting with us. So thank you very much. We appreciate it. I can't express my gratitude to you enough. But this week's episode is called Communication Breakdown. On with the show. Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Above Ground Podcast.
Above Ground Podcast, because you can't serve below.
You know who that is? Are you down with TPP?
Yeah, you know me.
Timmy, what's up, brother?
What's up?
Living the dream, man. Living the dream, the COVID life.
Yeah, it feels good to be back in Hallam Studios.
It does. It feels good to be back in Hallam Halls. In the Hallam Halls. It's awesome.
We're very thankful to be here, and we're very grateful that we have the opportunity to be here.
That's right. That's right.
How you doing, Will?
Timmy, we're living, man. We're above ground.
We're above
Dude.
ground. How many lumens are you today?
Maybe 7.
Okay.
My lumens have been up, man.
All right.
My lumens have been up.
Which I know you've got a lot going on in your life, so that's really good.
Yeah, it is. But, most of it is, I would say the good majority of it is positive at this point.
I like to hear
Not
that.
all of it's negative. Some of it's, and even the negative stuff necessarily doesn't have to be negative. It's just draining.
It's draining. This whole thing
Life is draining.
Life is draining.
And you know what else is draining sometimes?
What?
Communication.
Communication can be draining for sure. You know what? Communication breakdown.
Communication breakdown?
Yeah, communication breakdown.
Wow, what are we breaking down? Are we having a nervous breakdown?
Maybe a shakedown? Well, here, the Merriam-Webster dictionary defines communication as the act or process of using words, sounds, signs or behaviors to express or exchange information, or to express your ideas, thoughts, feelings, etc. to someone else. So that's kind of a broad definition, but it does manage to encompass everything that makes up the concept of communication. Every time you convey information to another person, whether it's the order taker at your local drive-thru or your supervisor at work, you use communication skills, or just you use communication. So basically, I wanted to kind of put together some things that we felt that were maybe keys to positive communication.
Keys to positive communication.
Yes, sir.
That's a big pie to
It is.
bake, because we often wallow in our own negative communication habits, and we have so many of them. Checking our phones,
Yes.
Not looking at people, looking at the ground, not being interested,
There
not
you go.
listening. Like, and I know you're trying to stick to the positive things.
No. This is
But
perfect.
it's kind of one of those things, because it breaks down because there's a dysfunction between the communiques.
Yeah.
And I think oftentimes that it becomes bad because of misinterpreting signals, misinterpreting facial recognition,
Sure.
just all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
I agree. The body language is definitely
body language is huge.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how much that body language actually played into positivity.
Oh, yeah.
And not positivity, but positive image.
Yeah, even positivity actually though when you said that, because I remember.
Well, yeah, because I remember reading that too.
Yeah,
in certain
there was
things.
like a Harvard study that like if you like sit at more of like a straight up, and if you walk more with your shoulder, you know what I mean, like almost like that, walking like you own the place.
Yeah,
sort of.
Yeah,
That-
strut around like you do, and
that
there's-
actually does create that more of a.
But maybe in a future episode, which I'm sure we're going to talk about, we can talk about maybe the opposite of what that does too sometimes.
Sure. Yeah.
But
yeah.
So tips to positive communication.
Well, for me, communication is like dancing, and you have to dance with another person, obviously. So
Do you dance?
I don't. No. I tried once and I stubbed my toe.
That might be why there's a communication breakdown. You only tried once.
Right. Could be. Could be. It's not hammer time yet, so.
No. Those
Yeah,
funky parachute pants, man.
It takes both parties to actively participate. Whether it's listening. I think gathering facts, honor, respect, honesty, openness, confidence, empathy, understanding were things that came to my mind that were needed. Just as far as not necessarily positive communication, but just communication skills. Like if you're going to say communication skills, by definition, it's just more refined applications of communication.
Sure.
If that
It's just
makes
taking
sense.
the buzzwords and
Yeah.
and creating a buzz out of them.
Buzz 'em.
Oh, pardon me.
And there's also there's things that can get in the way of being a good communicator.
Oh, absolutely. There's things that can get in the way of being a good
Stress.
communicator.
Right?
Sure.
Stress, lack of focus, out of control with your emotions, or emotional regulation.
Or deregulation at that point.
Yeah. Negative body language, which you kind of said earlier. There's a slew.
Not listening.
Not listening. Yeah, well, yes, not being coherent, not listening, not fully understanding, or maybe their perception is off on things. That's why the question, to ask questions, I guess that's why it would be good to ask questions.
Yeah, asking
what I mean?
questions
If you
is the best way to get
If
information.
you don't know, then But I originally wanted to try to come up with some different ways like, kind of like instead of saying it this way, try saying it this way. But I didn't really come up with too many. But I did read somewhere like it was like about replacing "I am sorry" with "thank you." So instead of like saying "I'm sorry" all the time, you can get into it would almost, for that person that is apologizing continuously, it would be like it can turn into like a cycle for that person and eventually turn into negative thoughts. So instead of continuing that cycle, you can change it up with, like, instead of saying "I'm sorry for being late," you could say "thank you for waiting for me."
I will say this. I like the idea of that. I think, though, it misses the empathy part of it. And the reason is because depending on somebody's perception and depending on how that's spoken to somebody saying "thank you for waiting for me" could be like, well, it could be misconstrued the opposite way as apologizing.
But then that's where, ask. You know what I mean? Then that's where the question comes up. Like, are you being serious or are you being sarcastic,
Yeah, I think in certain situations, though, certain things shouldn't have to necessarily be asked all the time. Like if somebody apologizes for being late, I don't think that that's a negative thing.
Well, no, but it can get it. The way that the article explained it was like a cycle that you can get yourself in, and it just creates this
of like an apology cycle of just apologizing for everything.
Yeah, and it turns into it can have negative effects on your thought patterns.
Huh. Okay. I can sympathize. I can definitely get into that a little bit.
Yeah.
I've been an apologist for a lot of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can understand it, but I can also see where it could be.
Yeah,
it could come off. I mean, granted, you could say just saying hi to some people comes off as being.
I was just going to say, there's no set way to do all these things. These are just, as most of the stuff that we talk about, these are just things that can possibly help, get to the other side of the road.
Yeah, I get it.
So, what do you think? Like being attentive.
Yeah, I think a lot of communication is in the building of the rapport. And I listened to Tony Robbins talk about rapport because I didn't understand what rapport really was. I always thought rapport was just like how you got along with people. But building rapport is more involved.
More like trust and
yeah, because how you build trust would be to, if we were in a conversation, one way that he suggests, and this is how to build rapport, and he's not the only one, in NLP, in neuro-linguistic programming, this is one of their things that talks about building rapport, and part of it is eye contact. You always have eye contact. I'm thank goodness I'm good at that. I'm always good at looking at people most of the time, but there's a thing about mirroring, where you mirror somebody's stance. You may stand the same way, the opposite. They move their arm, you may move their arm. It's the same thing as picking out a couple of words or a phrase from something you just told me and saying it back to them in the form of asking the next question. So...
And those are positive. Right.
That's a way to build positive rapport,
Gotcha.
which is a way to keep the positive communication open. Or maybe even get somebody to open up more.
Yeah. No, I like it. Pay attention to the topic that's being discussed,
Sure. Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's got, conversation's got to start somewhere.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I think you have to honestly listen if you're going to give an honest opinion or answer. Or
well, right, and you also have to be willing to step away from a conversation if you really don't want to have that conversation.
Right.
Or if the conversation they're having is not the conversation that you want to have. You need to be man enough to step away and say, okay, that's not the conversation I was going to have, so I'm going to let these people talk and not... Because I think sometimes,
we need to be brave enough. That's what you meant to say.
Yeah, brave enough. Yeah, okay. All right.
Hey, I'm just trying to help.
No. I meant manning, okay? Because most guys won't. Most guys will just go over and get in the way and blah, fucking blah. Because, dude, it's true. Come on, man.
Yeah, no, it's true.
It takes a certain manhood to be a little A little more quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't quite learned it yet. I'm working on it though.
Yeah. And yeah.
You knew that was coming.
No, I didn't. That was good though. You got me.
I'm just trying to see if you're awake.
Try not to pass the blame. Communicate without passing the blame or judgment. But I think it's important, like you said, if you feel like you're getting angry or upset or emotionally regulated, maybe you could communicate that in the best way that you know how, and say, look, can we continue this at another time? Can we take a 20-minute break and pick up where we left off?
Yeah, absolutely. But that's a strong communication skill, though.
Yeah.
And that's not a skill that
I know
that we possess all the time.
No.
You know what I mean? It does take a lot of reserve to step back.
Yeah.
And be that mindful.
Well, right.
Because again, it all comes down to mindfulness.
Well, that and I think courage. I think having the courage to do it. It's not
it's not easy.
It's not what's the word I want to use? It's not looked at in high regard in society.
No.
But I did find this was from thebalancecareers.com. It was 10 tips for effective communication. Number 1 is listening, and number 2 is nonverbals, which I guess goes
body language.
Yeah.
Body language cues.
Yep. 3, clarity and concision. 4 is friendliness. 5, confidence. 6, empathy. 7, open-mindedness. 8, respect. 9, feedback. And 10, picking the right medium, which I would have never thought of that, but that's actually awesome. Picking the right medium, I think, is very huge, because you could be misinterpreted through a text.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think text is a bad way of medium meaning
right.
Writing a letter about having a deep down emotional spillage out onto a paper doesn't come across necessarily in a 5-minute conversation. You wouldn't be so medium. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So it really does depend on the forum that you're in.
Right. Okay.
And whether that communicate, and I think part of that is part of it is the medium saying, okay, is this a conversation to have now, or is this a conversation to have in a different spot or in a different way?
Right. Yep. No, that's And again, I think that's the courage of being mindful enough to stand back and go, let me just gather my thoughts real quick and go.
Sure. And I think that's where most of us fail on it.
Oh, absolutely.
Is because it's rapid and most of us react rather than respond.
Right.
So we get into that reactive mode where, oh my God, it has to be done now. Right. It's always that need. It's that fear of missing out, or maybe not quite that.
I mean, I think there might be, depending on the person, it might be that we actually don't know what to say. You know what I mean?
No, that's in time. Depends on what the situation is. Some of us always have something to say.
Well, is that for me or for you?
That was for both of us.
That was very wooed.
That was very wooed. Why do you do that?
So I don't. This is examples of positive communication. I don't remember where this is from, so I apologize. But I'm gonna just rip through them, and we can tear them apart or whatever you want to do. But the first one is more of try not to do this, and then the second way would be try to say it this way. So don't run, and then you could say walk, please. Instead of saying stop touching him, you could say hands to yourself. Don't throw the toys. Please keep your toys on the ground. Stop interrupting. You want to talk to me. Wait one moment, please.
Or just shut the fuck up.
Stop yelling. Quiet voice, please. Calm down. Take a deep breath. You're doing bad listening.
You're doing
Yeah,
bad listening?
I know.
What?
I don't know. This, you know what? This
Did the fourth grader write this?
I think this might be for
I was going to say, this has got to be for small children, right? I knew I should have read it when I printed it out.
We're gonna edit that out. What do you think of I statements, Will?
Yeah, I statements are bad.
Yeah.
I statements are me.
Right.
That's what they are. But but I see what you're saying though about the thank you for waiting.
Yeah, the
I am sorry. But
yeah, like if I guess in any communication, I guess takes two people. So if it was a certain kind of relationship, you could be like, instead of saying like, I don't have time for that, you could say, I want to do that, but right now it's not a priority. So, can we put it off until after I get this done, or put it off until next week or something? You know what I mean?
Wow.
What?
I'm just like, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, yeah, and how many times am I going to use this in real life? Like, I get it.
I know. I'm not saying.
I'm not saying it's not a good thing.
But these are things that
I'm just wondering
if we could talk about it more and get into the habit of trying to.
Yeah, it's practice.
Practice.
It's all about practice.
But I'm just, these are just getting out there, and
it's all about Allen Iverson. Practice, man.
To be honest with
practice.
you, I was on a Led Zeppelin kick, and I just was like, communication breakdown. That'd be a great title for.
Yeah, I've been on a Led Zeppelin kick too.
Really?
Yeah, dude. I listened to Led Zeppelin. Listened to Led Zeppelin 4 the other day.
Nice.
Had it on, cranking in the car.
Not a bad thing.
No, it wasn't. It was not a bad thing. Led Zeppelin's never bad.
That's true. That's a good point.
The only thing that's bad about Led Zeppelin is if the Zeppelin's going down, and they all crash.
Yeah.
At some point.
So what do you think are some things that can be roadblocks for good communication?
I think the biggest roadblock is emotion, and I think that we get stuck in like our reactivity. And I think that that's the biggest stickler to communicate. The biggest stickler to communication is ourselves. It's wearing the mask. We talked about the mask in an episode a while back. And you hide behind this mask, this persona, and you want to put on this front. And that can sometimes be a block to communication because you can't be yourself. You can't feel like yourself. You can't be genuine. You're starting to feel like a fraud. You know what I mean? You get this imposter syndrome, and it really does boil down to communication. But what it really boils down to communication with yourself. Also, because you got to sew that into there somewhere.
Yeah, I get that.
And if you already have negative self-talk, and then you get put into a position that's going to start needling in all that bag of bees that's buzzing around, that negative beehive that's sitting in your dome of yours, man. The bees are going to start floating around, and all the negative thoughts start floating around. So your communication goes right out the window.
Right.
Because now you're in reaction mode. Now you're reacting from a program that you don't even know if you installed.
And not even about the topic at hand. About
whatever negative thoughts fed that. It was the look that you gave me because it was the look that I was given when I was in 6th grade. And it was like, I mean, this is the shit that cascades out of control for people.
Yeah. That's why I'm not big on the whole body language thing.
I do understand it. I get it a lot more now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I understand it a lot more
because sometimes I'll sit like this with my arms crossed.
Me too.
And by the book, it would be like, well, he's not really being attentive, and he's guarded. And
yes.
Like, no, stick it up your ass. This is just how I sit. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? That's why I'm big on questions. Like, if I'm doing something wrong, be like, hey, did you mean that, or did you mean this?
Yeah, but by you asking the question about did you mean this or mean that, that means that you were guarded. Because if you weren't
I'm saying
guarded,
from the other person, not from me.
Oh, okay.
If I'm sitting this way and someone has the perception that I'm not listening or whatever, then they could ask. Like,
they could, but unfortunately, and unfortunately though, because we're talking about our communication.
Well, yeah,
but
but I'm
the other
talking-
person is still doing the same thing that you're doing, just in their own way. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So they're thinking, oh, well, you're standing there with your arms crossed, like the world sucks, and you don't want to talk to me.
Right.
But and
that could be not the case, you know.
it could mean that it's not the case. But I will say this: I think subconsciously, it really is the case. And I can tell you this just from my own. I can tell when my stance gets different. Like, I can tell when I just, like, I get home and I don't feel like talking, but I gotta talk. Like, and then I start, and then my stature slouches a little bit, and my arms get folded, and I start tapping my foot. And like, when I get impatient, I'm the same way. And then I notice that my body language changes. I didn't notice it until I started working in an office.
Do you turn into like a Willosaurus Rex?
I do, dude. Willosaurus Rex. I got the freaking Rex arms, dude. What's up? What's up? Rex. Rex in effect.
Rexy.
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 Rexy. I got to get that costume now, see?
Yeah, so somehow that communication turned into dinosaurs.
It just broke down.
It just broke down. We're trying to take communication back to like the early days.
The prehistoric days.
Prehistoric days when they just write on walls
That's right.
and yell.
Calligraphy. Actually, not even calligraphy yet, just pictures.
Yeah.
They didn't have letters for the words yet.
No.
We're going back to the caveman days.
Yes.
Ah!
When they had the big brows.
Yeah.
Kind of like
guess.
big brows. I feel like they're making a comeback.
Yeah, not me. The
No?
unibrow will never make a comeback, dude.
No.
Sorry, no. No.
Did you get mail today, Will?
On that note, did I get? I don't know. I have not checked. I went to the box 4 days in a row last week. Not a piece of mail. Kid you not. Fifth day in a row, I go to the box. There's one lousy fucking flyer in there. Some bulk piece of mail. Okay?
I wasn't being serious. It
Yeah,
was
I know.
It was a rhetorical question.
It was a rhetorical question.
I was going to somehow work it into... Because the mailman's here with a letter. He ruined it.
Yeah,
I'm
the
sorry.
communication broke down.
Communication broke down.
It did.
That's what it was. It was just
It was a
test
communication
to see
breakdown.
if all of our listeners were listening.
That's right. See? And you weren't. Just like I wasn't.
Now we're showing negative communication, and we're trying to shame and guilt you into listening.
No, we're not trying to shame you and guilt you into
I know
anything.
it was a joke.
Okay, yeah, I'm off the jokes today.
That's
What?
it. That's it.
Yeah,
Whoa,
yeah, we're slipping in our old age,
we're
man.
slipping in our old age, man.
But that's all right, though. That's all right.
Okay.
It's all good.
Okay.
It's very good.
So yeah, communication. What do you? So I asked you about the that was like more negative side. What about the more? What do you think are some aspects of the more positive side?
Well, positive starts with listening. It definitely had, and building rapport.
I think you're right. I think
I think there is something to that, and I could. It's hard. And if you do it correctly, it's very hard to even notice when people are having a conversation. Eye contact. I'm big on eye contact. And I was always big on handshakes. And now that we can't really shake hands anymore, because I always, that's just me. Like,
Right.
eye contact is important to me.
right.
Because you can see a lot in somebody's eyes, regardless of whether they realize it or not. But, the whole world is open in someone's eyes. So if you look hard enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if they're wearing a mask?
Well, you can see that they're wearing a mask, though. Because you
have like X-ray vision or
don't need X-ray vision.
infrared?
No, you don't even need infrared. You don't need AI. You don't need QR codes. You don't need any of it. You just need your two eyeballs right here staring at the other two eyeballs in front of you. And just look, I see darkness in you.
Well,
That's about sums it up
Will
right
can
there.
see. Will can see pretty good right now. I got to hand it to you. You got 20/20 sight, my friend.
Yeah. Not in real life.
Those
Only
glass-
with beer goggles.
Those goggles help you.
Yeah, they do.
See very well.
Oh, they see the future.
Alrighty then.
They see the future, and the future's not
You know what I
good.
wanted to say? Actually, you know what I wanted to say? I wanted to give a quick shout out, thank you to young Dan in Florida. He's one of our avid listeners.
Young Dan.
Young Dan, thank you for always.
Lacing them up, stomping them out.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it. Love it.
He's always ready to.
He's always ready to get on stage and jump into the pit, man.
yeah.
Let's talk about the stigmas of mental illness and stomp them out.
Also, Jordan, who we interviewed like 2 weeks ago, he's always been a listener, and we just wanted to give him a shout out for that. One more, Nancy, she's my masseuse.
Yeah, Nancy. Nancy's always commenting, always sharing.
She's always sharing our posts.
Yes,
and,
thank you, Nancy.
It's just, it's one of those. It's just pure like raw kindness to somebody to like take what you do and then like share it. I know it doesn't sound like a big deal, but for us, it's a big deal because I think we're mostly at this point word of mouth. So. That goes with the podcast itself. If you share and subscribe the podcast, different episodes. If there's an episode that you like, share it, and then maybe that can turn new ears onto what we do.
Yes, and anybody listening out there that sent me an email recently, I just have not had a chance to respond yet, so I'm going to respond soon. I just haven't really had time.
He's ran out of Gas X, so
I have.
he's a little.
My beer goggles got all foggy. That's what happened. I can't see the computer screen. My beer goggles get foggy, man.
That's true.
The Coke bottles only go so far,
That's true.
You need beer bottles for those.
So we're gonna start a GoFundMe page for Will and his new goggles.
AKA the podcast.
AKA. What else you want to add, Will?
Dude, I think I've added enough, if not detracted.
Well, you have, but I figured I'd just I'm being
Are
kind
you placating me?
I'm trying to have good communication skills and offering up more space to be heard.
Yeah, I got enough space. I got a big mouth. I could be heard over a lot of things.
On that note,
hey, until next week, be well.
be safe.
Be above.